Hello, friends. Welcome back to Pollywog's Place. Today, we're taking on one of our biggest rabbit projects yet, a mega grow-out cage designed to comfortably house multiple young rabbits as they grow out. This cage will feature two separate compartments, an integrated hay feeder, and a sturdy wooden stand to keep everything elevated and easy to manage. And did I mention that we will be adding worms to this setup as well? If you've been raising rabbits for any length of time, you know that having enough space for grow-outs can quickly become a challenge. So today, we're solving that problem before it happens with a custom-built setup that's both practical and efficient. So we've been building several of the run-of-the-mill rabbit cages for our does lately, but I had something special in mind. I'd love to say that I had it completely drawn out and designed and knew exactly what to cut and where everything needed to go, but I didn't. I did know that I wanted two separate grow out spaces so the rabbits could be divided by age, size, or litter. And another feature I knew that I wanted was a hay feeder between the two sections to allow both groups of rabbits to access hay while reducing waste and making feeder much easier. Once I had a rough estimate of the measurements that we were going to need, it was time to start building. We used heavy-duty wire along the bottom, the baby saver wire, and then we used cage wire across the front. The tops, the sides, and the back were all made from hardware cloth, and the hay rack was also made from cage wire. This created a durable cage, provides excellent ventilation and easy cleanup. One of the benefits of wire cages is that they help keep rabbits dry and healthy while making daily maintenance much simpler. We began assembling the floor and the side panels, carefully fastening each section together to create a strong frame. We used the J-clips, and then in a couple areas we did have to use hog rings because the holes didn't line up quite the way they should have. But as the cage began taking shape, it became clear just how much room that the grow-out rabbits would actually have. Young rabbits need adequate space to help reduce stress and allow them to move comfortably as they mature and grow. Slowly but surely, our structure came together and the vision was becoming clear. We transformed a pile of wire panels into a functional rabbit housing system. Next came one of the favorite features, the integrated hay feeder. Instead of placing hay racks inside each compartment, we built a central feeder that sits between both rabbit spaces. I will link a video down below that I had seen a similar idea from, but this design allows the rabbits on either side to pull the hay through the wire, and it keeps most of the hay contained. But no worries if it little falls out because it's going to go to the worms or the chickens underneath. Not only does this save space, but it also helps reduce wasted hay that would otherwise end up scattered across the cage floor. Little improvements like this can make daily chores faster and help the rabbitry stay cleaner overall. Once the cage was complete, it was time to build a sturdy stand. We didn't get all of this on the camera because our GoPro overheated again. But elevating cages offers several advantages. It improves airflow, makes feeding and watering so much easier, and saves your back from constant bending during daily chores. We used some simple lumber and scrap pieces, basic tools, and assembled a strong frame that was capable of supporting the weight of the cage and the rabbits. As the screws went in and the project came together, we started to get excited. Now, the kids had voted to put the cage together and then move it. I thought it would be easier to move it in pieces, but what do I know? As the final screws went in, the project really started to come together. What began as pieces of wire and scrap wood now became a very functional rabbit housing system. And I might say it looks quite cute and rustic as well. And I think this will be a lasting structure on our homestead for several years to come. So after several hours of work, this mega grow out cage is finally finished. We're excited to have this setup that provides plenty of room for our growing rabbits and makes feeding and maintenance so much easier. But we thank you for joining us on today's build. If you enjoyed this project, be sure to subscribe for more homesteading, gardening, and rabbit raising adventures. Until next time, may your roots grow deep and your spirit stay nourished. God bless you, and we'll see you in the next video. Mega monster rabbit cage, 8 feet wide, 2 feet deep, 2 feet tall. Automatic waterers, pellet feeders, doors that open to the inside and latch, integrated hay feeder. This is going to be used for our grow outs. We'll have boys on one side, girls on the other. I think it should do pretty good. Baby saver wire on the bottom, regular cage wire on the front, and the doors and the hay feeder, and then we used hardware cloth for the top, the backs, and the sides. We will be building a stand to put this on, and hopefully having the worms set up underneath this. Stay tuned for updates. This was about a 3-hour build. I will try to give you a little bit more of an overview from the outside area here because it's hard with this phone camera to get inside and show you. The back is about 5.5 feet tall. The front is about 6 feet tall. And then the inside width is it's almost 25 inches to give us a little bit of wiggle room to get the cage in there, and because the cage is 24. So it was pretty tight going in, but it fits really, really well. And then from the edge of this 2x4 to the edge of that 2x4 over there was 8 feet. So as you can see, the cage fits in there pretty snug. I do have 2x4s going along the inside, and then I have one on the outside up here. And then I came in 30 inches from that corner and put a support, and then 30 inches from that corner and put a support for there. Let's see, the bottom is 18 inches from the ground to the first little supports there. There are 2x4 supports in the center, spaced approximately the same spacing as the top ones. The slats are just some old scrap wood. I probably need to cut a couple more if I'm going to have that many totes up there, but they are movable. They're not fixed in place or screwed in there, so I can change that configuration around however I want. The totes are about 16 inches tall, so from that shelf to the bottom of the next shelf is 18 inches. That way I have a little bit of wiggle room, and if I wanted to build some, I have plenty of room in here to move. And then let's see here, we also see if I can peel this up a little bit and show you what we did up there. If you look in the construction part, you'll see that we have a board, just a scrap board run across there, and then I have some 2x4 rafters laid flat going from the back to the front just to give some support for the tarp so it doesn't sag. And also, if later we decide to put some roofing on there, we can add some roofing to it. I did not do any fancy angled cuts or anything like that. This board right here is just on there just because I had a reason, but I don't remember what it was now. And then I cut a couple of pieces right there for the hay feeder. They're just more decorative than anything else, just to kind of hide the seams of where we were putting the hay feeder on. And then we have the same thing inside. The 2x4s right here, I believe that width is 28. Again, you have 18, well, it's not quite 18 from the bottom up, but from here to here, to the bottom of the totes is about 18. From the tote shelf up to that shelf is 18. The cages are 24, so the back was just right. I don't know if you can see that back there. And then, so from the cage bottom to the ground is about 36 inches, which puts it at a really good height for us. Again, this is more for decoration right there, just to hide where I didn't do any angle cuts or anything. So the V for the hay feeder is just kind of tapped in there, and I just put them as close as I could there to hide the seams that you can kind of see from this side, just to make it look a little bit prettier. And then I ended up cutting out a little section right here, cut out a section here so we can stick hay in there. And then everybody has their water. Water has ice in it right now. They have ice cubes in their little bowls. Feeders are going to get filled up here in a little bit, and then the kids can fill that full of hay, so everybody gets plenty of hay. They do have some resting mats in there. And then up here you can kind of see the 2x4 supports. I was running out of 2x4s, so that's why there's only 3 up there. And then I just used another scrap board just to trim out the sides there and make it look a little bit more finished. I had planned on painting it, but like I said, we are probably going to make a couple more of these. We're going to make a better looking rabbit area. So I didn't bother painting that right now, but that may come in the future. So I hope that gives you a little bit better understanding of how we did that, just in case you want to make one on your own. And a lot of this was made out of scraps other than the cage itself, but a lot of the rest of it was made out of scraps. The totes were totes I had bought for the greenhouse. And if you saw in another video, they were a little bit too tall for the greenhouse shelves in there, and I didn't feel like redoing the shelves. So I decided to find another use for the totes. So they are not ready for worms yet, but hopefully this week that will be a project we get to.